Hello! I'm so glad you're here today because we're going to do something very profound, you and me. Today we're going to pandiculate. And if you've never heard of pandiculation, I do have a separate video on that, so I might put it here on the screen somewhere, and if I can't figure that out, somewhere in the caption. But in a nutshell, pandiculation is, you know, that feeling that you have in the morning when you stretch and yawn. Feels so good. Yeah, that's what we're going to do today. It's basically resetting your muscle tone. It's letting go of the contraction, more so the tension in your muscle. And today we're going to work specifically with your psoas muscle. So before we get started, there's a few things I want to make you aware of. So the number one thing is because we're working so deeply with the psoas muscle, and they don't call it the seat of the soul for nothing, you might notice a few emotions bubbling up. The first time I ever did this, I felt like crying. And it was a good cry. It was a necessary cry. It was a very relieving cry too, you know, just allowing myself to release. And you might notice, maybe even in the practice, usually a few hours after, that you will experience certain emotions coming up. I just wanted to remind you, because we've kind of been conditioned to assume that there's something wrong with us and that we immediately have to do something about it and need to figure out a solution. And then we spiral in our thought patterns and believing that you're not allowed to feel that. I'm telling you right now, you're allowed to feel that. You're allowed to feel whatever it is you need to feel, and there's nothing wrong with you. It's actually really good if you give yourself the space, or if you're new to this inner work, I also want to mention that you can work with a therapist in tandem, just because sometimes emotions become very overwhelming, or you have a friend you can call, or your mom, or whoever you can talk to, a loved one. But giving yourself the space to just let everything out is the most healing thing you can do. So the next thing is you might notice a little jumpiness and shakiness as you're doing the practice, which is also completely normal. It's just your nervous system signaling you that that area or that muscle specifically is tight through the loss of voluntary control, which we're regaining through practice. Over time, the movement will become smoother and smoother. So don't worry about it. It's just a normal part of the process. And we love the process. There's one more thing, and then I'll let you off the hook. As we're doing the iliopsoas release, do your tighter side last. So if your right side is tight, start with the left, and vice versa. That is because your brain prioritizes the last, more so the most recent sensory input that it got. And that way it can stick with your nervous system better. So the last thing you do is your nervous system is gonna remember that the most. Also, if you start with the less tighter side first, you'll already know which muscle to contract and how it's gonna feel. There are 3 different levels of the iliopsoas release, which is the first level is with a knee bent. The second level is with a half knee bent, so you're scooting your foot a little bit forward. And the third level is with your leg fully extended, which is going to be a little bit harder. If you notice at any time that your back is coming off the ground and you're slightly arching, then you want to regress back to the previous level. Because the slower you work with your nervous system, the better. You don't want to rush your nervous system. So without further ado, get into comfy clothes, light up some candles, put your phone on silent, put your kids on silent. Just kidding. But yeah, make yourself really comfortable. Let's get into it.
All right, so come down on your mat with a slight bend in your knee and relax into your body. Allow yourself to ease into the present moment. There's nothing you have to do, nowhere you have to be, except for here. If you notice how you still think about things, which is completely normal, especially if our minds get a break from that constant stimulation, tries to stimulate you in some way. But you get to take all your thoughts, put them into a box, and mentally close the box and return back to them after this practice. And usually, at least for me, I don't feel like returning back to a box. Anyway, notice your eyes feeling a little heavy now. Notice when you breathe in, you feel the air moving up, and when you breathe out, moving out of your nostrils, and noticing the temperature of the air. Relaxing your jaw, letting go of your shoulders, just dropping in to this moment right now. So for this practice today, we're going to start, of course, with a few deep breaths. Continue with an exercise called the arch and flatten. And lastly, I invite you to a practice called the Psoas release, what we're all here for. Okay, so when you're ready, I want you to breathe into your lower belly and imagine blowing it up like a balloon, holding it at the top and exhaling out as slow as you can. You can even place your hands on your belly just to signal yourself to shift your focus here. As you breathe in, letting go of your abdominal muscles, putting all the air down, and slowly releasing as if you're opening that balloon one by one, as slow as you can, releasing the air. The muscle involved in your breath is your diaphragm. And when you breathe in, your diaphragm presses down into your belly, allowing your belly to fill up with air. And as you exhale, it releases back up, allowing the air to move back out. So pay attention to the contraction and the release of your diaphragm, breathing in nice and deep, noticing the air in your belly and your diaphragm contracting. And as you exhale, you're releasing your diaphragm. Letting it all go. You might notice how you're already becoming more relaxed, especially if you're not just paying attention to breathing in, but also really taking a nice long exhale. Even longer than your in-breath. That signals your nervous system that you're safe and out of danger. Now we're going to move into something called the arch and flatten. We're going to start off with the arch, then the flatten, then we're going to put everything together. So you can either keep your hands on your lower belly still to pay attention to your muscles contracting, or you can lay them up by the side, really surrendering to this moment. Now let's start with the arch. Breathing into your lower belly, pushing down into your sacrum very gently. Your sacrum is slightly above your butt. And then you're going to roll that pressure down and your focus down to your tailbone. And notice how your lower back comes off the ground. Feeling into that movement and slowly coming back down. As slowly as you can. Really taking your time here and letting go. Now that you know the movement, I want you to pay attention to your muscles contracting. More so, what muscles are contracting. So as you breathe in again, pressing slightly into your sacrum, but rolling down into your tailbone. Feeling a contraction in the muscles of your lower back. And slowly letting go to the count of 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still paying attention to your contraction. 6, 7, lengthening. 9, 10, 11, and 12. Back to neutral. How you're laying now is your neutral position. Now that you've learned the arch, we're going to move into the flatten. So as you breathe in, I don't want you to arch, but this time gently pushing your lower back into the mat. Notice if you can feel how your belly is starting to hollow into a nice hollowing position. And slowly letting go again. Taking your time. By the way, if you notice how you're a little bit jumpy when you release, it's completely normal. It's just your nervous system recalibrating as well as your muscle tone. So now that you're back in neutral, let's see if you can notice what muscles are contracting. So as you breathe in, push against the ground, slight tuck in your tailbone even, pressing and flattening your back against the mat. And getting the sensation of hollowing your belly. You might notice how your transverse abdominis, which is a deep core muscle, contracting. As you do, feel into that. And to the count of 12, let's release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, resisting gravity, 11, and 12. Back in your neutral position, fully letting go. Let's take a moment and just notice what you're already feeling in your body. Let's put both movements together. So breathing into your lower belly, gently pressing down into your sacrum, then your tailbone, and arching your lower back where you feel the contraction, maybe even a little bit in your hip flexors. Holding it right there and slowly letting go. Taking your time, resisting gravity, and having your complete focus on letting go of the contraction, as well as following your breath as you need to. Good. Take your time to come to neutral, so we're not rushing to the other part, and allow your nervous system to fully relax. Again, we're going to breathe in. Now pressing down, gently flattening your back against the ground or your mat. Hollowing out your belly. And slowly letting go as you're still paying attention to that contraction in your belly. Taking it nice and easy. Maybe even noticing a few twitches. It's completely normal. You're doing everything right. Breathing as you need to, and being in neutral. We're going to do this one more time, but this time we're going to involve your complete spine. I want you to pay attention to your upper back, your neck, and your head, as well as your lower back and your mid back, because all those muscles are connected. And if your muscles aren't tight or you're holding tight in one spot, if one part of the spine moves, the other should react in some way. So just let go of the tension, especially if we carry a lot of tension in our shoulders and necks. Dropping them away from your ears. And breathing in on your sacrum, tailbone, and your arch. You might notice how your neck, your head shifts down almost as if you're looking at your lower belly. Don't force this though. This will happen all naturally. And slowly letting go as your back comes down and your head, your spine moves with that movement. As you're still focusing on that contraction in your lower back. Good. Let's take our time in this neutral position. And now, as we're breathing in, flattening our back against the mat, you might notice as you're hollowing out your belly, how your neck and head shifts upward as if you're looking at what's behind you. How your neck is coming off the ground and feeling the contraction in your belly. Let's release as slowly as we can, having all your focus on that contraction, and with your conscious awareness, how you are in charge of letting it go. Breathe as you need to. And come back to neutral. All right, let's take a few deep breaths before we move into the Psoas release. Breathing in nice and deep into your lower belly. Holding it right there. And slowly breathing out through the mouth. Notice how my in-breath is a little shorter than my out breath. Again, this activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is in charge of your rest and digest response. Good. Now we're going to move into the iliopsoas release exercise. And I want you to start with the side that is not as tense as the other. So your tense side is the last thing that we're going to do because your nervous system remembers what it did last. So for me, it's my right side, which is tighter. So I will start with my left side. Placing my hand right behind my head, letting my elbow rest outward. My other hand can rest on my belly or right next to me. And now I want you to lift with a slight bend in your knee, lift your leg up towards you and your head as well, almost like a crunch. You don't have to lift very high, but it's important here that you keep your lower back flat against the mat the entire time and slowly release down, paying attention to your lower back and noticing a slight contraction in your hip flexors and belly. And slowly releasing, letting go. Good. The psoas muscle is a deep muscle. And it's attached to your spine, your lumbar vertebrae. It goes around, attaching to your femur, which is your leg. So, if you're ready, or if you feel like you had no trouble with this movement at all, meaning you kept your lower back on the ground the whole time, then you can move into the second level, I would say, making it slightly more challenging. But you can also just stay within the first movement. Listen to your body on that one. So let's start with lifting the left leg up and your head. Feeling the contraction, but flattening your lower back into the ground. And slowly letting go. Resisting gravity with your leg and with your elbow or head as you move down. And fully releasing. Good. Pay attention to your breath. So if your breath at any point starts to feel shallow, or if your body feels a little bit too shaky, you can always take it back a notch. But if you're ready, you can do the third movement with me, which is straightening out your leg entirely. And again, very important, press your lower back gently into the mat. So it's down, and then we're going to lift slightly up, holding it, breathing in and out, slowly letting go and breathing, of course, as you need to. Resist gravity as you're moving down. Really take your time on this and feel the contraction in your side. Slowly letting go and fully releasing. Now you can take your hand, I'll place it right next to you again, your left hand. And before we're moving to the other side, we're just going to lay here real quick. Just notice what we're feeling. Taking our time. We don't have to rush or force anything, and our nervous system loves it. Because the more time we spend with resting and letting go of tension, the more we're able to take on new challenges in life without burning ourselves out. Because I believe a healthy nervous system is not just a calm and collected nervous system, but also resilient. There we go. And as we're creating more space and length in our psoas, we're also creating more space in our diaphragm, which allows us to breathe even deeper and therefore relax with more ease. So let's move to the other side. So I want you to bend your left knee again. Level yourself out so you feel both sit bones on the ground. And again, take your right hand, place it behind your head. Relax your elbow out. And we're going to start with the first movement, which is with a bent knee, bent leg. So let's start by breathing in, flattening our back against the ground, and lifting up the head and the leg, holding it right there. Oh yes, I feel really jumpy here as I'm slowly releasing down. Good. Take your time. The longer you take, the better. And the more focus is on this movement, the better as well. Resist gravity and slowly move down. If at any point your head goes down before your leg, it's completely fine. Take your time on the leg and fully let go. Relax. Now you can either stay here or slowly move your foot a little bit away from you, so it's half bent. And we're going to breathe in, flatten our lower back against the ground, slowly lifting up, noticing a slight contraction, and letting go, nice and gentle. Good. Breathing as you need. Yeah. Resisting a little bit more at the end. And fully relaxing. This feels so good. Okay. Take a few breaths here. Notice what you're feeling. And now straighten out your leg if you want to. If not, you can just stay in the second or even in the first movement. Don't force yourself. This should all come naturally. Now let's take a nice deep breath in, pushing gently into the ground with your lower back and lifting up with the head and leg and slowly letting go. Resisting gravity as it slowly pushes us down. Not by forcing against it, but just by slightly resisting to really get the full benefit of the movement. A nice long pandiculation and release. Ooh. Now take your hand and place it right next to you. Straighten both legs out. Noticing what you're feeling in your body, fully surrendering to whatever you're noticing. Resting in Shavasana. You might notice how yawns come up. It's a very good sign. Your nervous system is completely relaxed. Good. Just take your time. Focus on your breath and how you're here right now. Thanking yourself for showing up. Thanking your body. So if you still have a little bit of your day ahead of you, take it nice and easy. Don't do too much. I also wouldn't recommend to go to the gym now because that fires you back up. The best thing you could do is maybe just take a nice slow walk. And the even better thing you could do is just lay in your bed and fall asleep. Maybe drink a little tea before that. And really rest deeply. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And I'll see you next time.